Hello. It is the first week of March, which is blowing my mind a little bit. I don't know how time just keeps flying. Last month, decisions came out. A lot of you messaged me saying that you were accepted, so congrats again. And to anybody who I didn't get to personally congratulate, congratulations. I am so excited for all of you to be starting this new journey. I remember being in your shoes at this time last year and just having no idea what to expect, which is really the reason why I started making these videos. So I hope they've been helpful. It seems like they have been for a lot of you, which is really rewarding. Last week was Accepted Students Day, or Visiting Day, I think they call it. And I got to meet some of you, so that was really nice. Thank you for coming up to me and saying hi. That was such a sweet, unexpected little surprise. I hope that you're getting some much needed rest before the start of this program. It's coming really soon. But if you don't have the luxury, because truly it's a luxury to do that, then it'll be okay either way. Like, you will find ways to make it work. But it's very important to take care of yourself, which kind of leads me to what I want to talk about today. Imposter syndrome. Dun, dun, dun. I think that it is probably a very common experience. I personally haven't spoken to anybody in my program about it, but I imagine that a lot of us feel these feelings of inferiority and just a lot of, doubting yourself and questioning whether you have it in you to do this. Just to talk a little bit about my own experience, I had built up this narrative for a lot of my life that I'm not made for science-based fields, and I was always into arts and humanities. I did a bachelor's in visual anthropology with a concentration in video communication, so I was very much in a different world, in a artsy humanities world, which I still love and appreciate so much. But most of my family members are very math and science oriented, and so I grew up feeling like the black sheep of my family for that and other reasons. So I think I just, throughout my life, had built up this kind of self-perspective of like being inferior to people who did have a brain for math and science. And I swore that I would never do anything like nursing. But here I am all these years later, and I thought that I had worked through a lot of those feelings, and I truly have. But I think being first of all, back in school in general, but then also being in a science-based field has really kind of made those old feelings resurface, and it's been uncomfortable, and it's been quite a heavy load to carry. The first semester especially was tough because I think for the whole first 9 weeks, it's a 10-week semester, I wasn't aware of what I was feeling, because I frankly just didn't give myself time. And looking back, I think it was very much, me trying to compensate for the fact that I felt inferior, which is why I had no time, because I was just constantly studying, constantly worried about exams, making sure that I got A's and everything. And it was really exhausting, really, really exhausting. I think at the end of that semester, I started kind of realizing that I was feeling these very subconscious internal feelings that were so uncomfortable and kind of probably I was running away from. And I realized I'm doing a lot of comparing. And we all know that everyone says, comparing is not good, whatever. But I think it's a very natural human response of our brain just trying to keep us safe, even though it kind of does the opposite. So I refuse to be that hard on myself, right? About the comparison. But I realized, wait a minute, I'm comparing my weaknesses to other people's strengths, and that is just not productive to my learning, to my well-being. It's just, I'm going to keep running into the same wall. And I realized that, but I had no idea how to apply it or how to stop making these comparisons. I think for me, part of the reason, or like really the biggest reason why it was so difficult to kind of snap out of it, is because I am very, very slow to process information. And so it just felt a lot of the times like, oh, my learning style and the speed of this program are not really aligning. So I felt as though I needed to work extra hard and extra long to conceptualize things that it seemed like to me my peers didn't need as much time for. I'm also the type of person who needs all the information for things to make sense. I can't just be given one piece of information and have someone tell me, this is it, just know this and move on, because I can't anchor it onto anything. So it's just like one floating idea, and I'm like, but wait, why does this happen? Why are these mechanisms acting this way? And I would find myself spending so much time doing like little background research to kind of have an understanding of the basics so that I could, like attach it to something for it to make sense. And so I was doing all of this work behind the scenes to understand things in class. And it was really a learning curve for me to learn how to not do that, because there's just no time to do that. Like, you will drive yourself a little mad, as the Brits would say. And just as like a little bit of reassurance, as the program continues and moves forward, you do start learning those bits of background information to kind of make everything come together. So that has been very relieving for me, because it does come together as you move forward. But that first semester I didn't know, and so I was just like frantically trying to understand everything, and I wanted to retain everything, which is just unreasonable. I was very much holding myself to very unreasonable expectations, and I think that is how imposter syndrome kind of sticks its ugly claws into your brain and makes you, believe that you have to be perfect. And it doesn't help that so many people in my cohort are just so brilliant, and I think moving forward that's always going to be the case. There's just some really smart, awesome humans in my cohort who always ask fantastic questions and who, bring up these incredible points and have all these resources to share. Like, just amazing. I'm so thankful for them, but it also really played into my own insecurity of like, holy moly, that could have never been me. Like, I could have never come up with that good of a question, or I could have never, known X, Y, and Z thing and been able to share it with my cohort. So that's like hard to navigate. So that's when I realized, like, these are my peers' strengths, and what a privilege truly to witness their strengths and benefit from their strengths, because they're sharing resources and they're sharing books and they're asking all these great questions that I get to learn more from. So like, it was wonderful, and I love when they bring things up, but I had to remember, like, okay, they have weaknesses too, and that's not to like put anyone down, we all have weaknesses and we all have strengths, but it was like hard for me to see my own strengths in that, and I definitely have strengths. All of us have strengths, but even that, I was like, I don't think I have that many strengths. Like, I don't know if I'm, cut out for this or whatever. And I think it's, like I said, it's a normal feeling, especially for those of us who carry, different generational things, whether you are a first generation American or an immigrant yourself, whether English is your second or third language, whether you're the first person in your family to go to school, like to get higher education, or whether you are coming back to school after so many years. Like, all of these things can really kind of precipitate all those feelings that come up. And so I think my purpose for making this is really two things. One, I think that maybe had someone told me about this before starting, I might have remembered to keep it on my radar a little bit so that I could recognize the thoughts as they came up and have things in my back pocket to help me cope and process in a healthy way. But I just didn't even realize that this would be something that would really come up. I kind of knew that maybe I'd feel a little, but it'll be fine. And it was heavier for me. And so, not saying that it will be the same for other people, but that's one reason. Another reason is I think that there's a lot of power in solidarity. And so, if not to be voice of reason for you, then at least to virtually hold your hand and say, hey, I've experienced it too. And it's okay. You're not alone. You're not. And I'm sure I'm not. I also think that if you find yourself in a position of uncertainty or just extreme overwhelm to the point where you feel like you have to take a leave of absence or decelerate to the hybrid program, that's okay too. There have been so many people in my cohort who either took a leave or decelerated, and it just was the best thing that they could do for their health. And I think that's always the main priority. I imagine that it must feel really tricky to navigate that, especially if you have these feelings coming up. But I just want to remind you that it's not a reflection of the value that you hold as a human being, and more so just redirection for something that aligns better with you. And I think that's so important, and that's so valuable, and that's something to cherish about all of our experiences and lived backgrounds, because it's really the things that the rough patches that we've experienced and the difficulties that we've had that make us more compassionate and stronger nurses for it. Because a lot of the people that we serve, at least in this community that we are so closely around, especially if you're on campus, is, communities of people who have been marginalized and who have all of these different heavy, challenging life experiences. I don't want to, go on a tangent here, and I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but I just thought that this was important to talk about. It's been on my heart for a little while, and I have a lot of exams coming up that I am feeling a little bit anxious about, so I wasn't going to make this video, but I just feel it on my heart, and so I'm following that. And I'll be making a new video soon about how 3 semesters in, I'm learning to manage the imposter syndrome in a lot healthier ways. And I feel so much relief from the things that I have learned work for me. So I thought that might be something good to talk about as well, just if you are looking for ideas on how to come in prepared with your backup plan for if this happens while you're here. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you are feeling excited about your upcoming journey. And this is in no way to scare anybody. I don't want to I don't want to scare anybody, but I just thought it was important to have a little one-sided for now conversation about something real that can come up. I'm here in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. You can message me. A lot of people have been messaging on Instagram. That's fine. Sometimes it takes me a little while to get back to you just because my schedule is quite busy, but I do really try to get back to everybody. And thank you for watching and for your questions and for your support. It's very sweet. Yeah, have a good one. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.